Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're here for a Christmas edition of the XR Today Big News Show. My name is Cureton, Senior Journalist, XR Today, bringing you the latest and greatest from the VR, AR, and XR industry. And today we've got an amazing cast, amazing group of people that we're going to be speaking to wrap up 2023. So we have on today Kevin O'Donovan. He is co-chair of Industrial Metaverse and Digital Twin Committee for VRARA. We have Jay Latta, founder and speaker of Fusionists. We also have Amy Peck, founder and CEO of EndeavorXR. We also have joining us Samantha Tauber, founder and chief executive of VNCCII. We're going to be having on a new guest today, Letitia Bochud. She is the director of Virtual Switzerland and the chair of the board of directors for XR for Europe. Thanks for joining us today, Ms. Bochud. And then we have Satyamrut he is the project manager and metaverse expert, Sumeru Digital Solutions. And finally, joining me is Rory Greener, technology journalist for XR Today, leading the ship. So thanks everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure. And so this will be the last episode with me. And, as I always wanted to say, it's been a pleasure having you guys on. And, wishing you guys all the best. And I'm sure I'm going to be haunting the annals of the XR industry very, very soon. So it's going to be fun. Anyways, we're kicking it off. We're going to start with some of the best moments in XR history for 2023. We're wrapping up the season. And thanks for joining with your ugly Christmas sweaters. Now, so starting off with Kevin. Kevin, can you tell us some of the things that you found were amazing for 2023 in the industry?
So I suppose very quickly, there's two things. One would be kind of, let's say, structurally across the industry. In the world I live in, I think it's been a very good year around, more and more people in the industry, in energy, getting their heads around the concept of, well, what is this industrial metaverse and what can we do? When you look at all the, event after event over the year, announcement after announcement of more and more people looking at some of the enabling technologies, whether that's simulation with digital twins, XR, VR, new gadgets, just getting their heads around the art of the possible. So I think that's been an excellent year. And I suppose personally, a standout moment for me in terms of the art of the possible. I recently got a Quest 3. I've spent the last 2 days playing Lego's Brick Tales.
Nice.
It is incredible. Now, for folks that know me, I'm a bit of a child, right? But in terms of the art of the possible, the graphics, the mixed reality, all I can think of the capabilities you could use this kind of technology for in industry is, mind blowing. So they'd be mine. And if I may, Demond, not only have you been an excellent host of the show over the year, you're one of the biggest advocates for this industry out there. So I wish you all the best for 2024.
I'm going to hop in and say that my least favorite thing that happened this year is that we're not going to get to do this with you in 2024.
No worries. I mean, yeah, like I said, I'll have some things in store definitely for everyone because I am, like I said, I'm going to take it a step further with the industry. So I'm definitely going to keep you guys posted, with my whereabouts. So we had Kevin in there, and we're going to also take it over to Jay. Jay, I know you've had a lot to say about the industry, and I've really, really appreciated your commentary on the show. So tell us, what did you think was the best part of 2023 for you?
The best moment in 2023 was to see how XR, anything in the immersive, is being used. We've been with Amy in Athens in May. And simply to see how the people, oh yes, of course, far more people have been there. To see how this is being used from architecture, from science, from the whole mythology. So there is really to showcase how valuable this technology is. The second best moment was to realize after several talks with Kevin that Metaverse is not dead. Maybe the term is dead, but the technology is living on. It's a very essential part, especially when we are transitioning towards software-defined everything, towards building industrial metaverse, all of these digital twins and so on. So the technology itself is not dead. Just a few loudmouths are claiming that it's dead. I'm personally happy that all of this NFT bullshit is gone, that it collapsed. One sad moment for me was to realize after an accident that I'm currently not able to CD in 3D. So for me, anything about this immersive stuff is hard as soon your eyesight drops on one side. So this is really something I've not been thinking about before. So really this kind of how helpful it is, how you miss it when you can't use it anymore, and that simply the whole metaverse, even if it might be named in a slightly different way, it's not that, it's there, it's more valuable than ever. And I personally, hopefully when this here will be resolved, I'm looking
Definitely.
forward to the Vision Pro. And of course, Damon, this show without you are breaking my
Like I
heart.
said, there will be there'll be more incarnations later on. So I definitely, as I said, definitely appreciate the positive feedback and everything. The show has been like a very good vessel for us to kind of bring together some of the best minds, of the industry, and get a platform for them to, speak their mind about what's taking place, and it's all in real time. So I've definitely appreciated everyone's commentary, over the last, God, it's been 2.5 years almost. Well, 2.5 years, more than 2.5 years, for at least, us getting people on and speaking to them directly, and then forming the show maybe about a year or so ago. So thank you. Yeah, we're going to jump down. I'm going to actually get in Sammy. As far as your commentary for 2023, what would you say was a highlight? Because you've been there in the metaverse industry, especially in the music and creative content side.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for having me on the show and for all your support this year. Like, it's an honor to be with all these really incredible people here in the show, and all the diverse commentary about the industry. The industry is very exciting, so I feel privileged to be a part of it. I think a highlight moment for just in general was obviously the rise in generative AI in the world of creativity, and that opened up a whole, Pandora's box, let's say, for creatives to be able to implement AI in their workflows. But I think the cherry on top of that is, like, I do a lot of speaking as well at conferences, and there's been this movement to appreciate more human-made creativity, not just AI creativity, and also this aspiration to just be better as a creative, use AI not only as a sparring partner, but also be reflective and think about, more from a philosophical angle, what can human creativity bring to the table that AI cannot. So it's an interesting, weighing up of the whole thing. But in terms of specific technologies this year, besides generative AI, AR has been huge, obviously, social AR, and seeing musicians as well implement that in their live performances. Like, it wasn't really live, but Gorillaz, they did a AR activation, at Times Square, and they did it at Piccadilly. That was kind of before 2023, but then we've seen so many campaigns since then because they were leading the way with their collaboration with Google. The Apple Vision Pro announcement was huge. As a creative, it's very exciting because I'm trying to build a franchise that's beyond just the superheroine character of Vinci. There's a very cool cast of characters. It's a space opera story based 500 years in the future. And I've got this novel. It's like the blueprint, but then it becomes this whole open world, world building thing. And, it's just incredible what you can do with spatial content, with Unreal Engine, virtual production. And as a live performer, a personal highlight for me was, we were talking about Athens earlier, Jay mentioned it, the XR Summit, bringing, the iteration of the Vinci show at that time to Athens, and thinking about how to bring immersive theater, basically. And what's really exciting about Disguise as well as a technology is its collaboration with Unreal Engine, with Move AI for markless motion capture. And there's really cool projects such as like Metarenas being developed in major capital cities in the world. And I think the first one will be in London for next year. And that will be, one of those venues that are not just for music performances, but for all different industries, and having this sort of real-time presence, whether you're actually in the venue or not. So it's really groundbreaking from an entertainment perspective. And thank you once again for having me on the show.
No, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, and thanks for sharing those insights with us. We're going to now actually jump all the way down we're going to jump to Rory Greener. Now, we've been covering a lot of the news taking place across the industry. And there's been so much going on, and I think this has actually been kind of a bit of an uptake or an upswing compared to 2022. Roy, what would you say about the last few months of 2023?
Yeah, of course. I just want to firstly also echo the opening comments of everyone else as well, which is, highly appreciate the work, on this show and the conversations of which we've had on this show. And then obviously, the past near 3 years before, around that too. I just want to make that of note. But going with what you're saying, 2023, I think was a very, very important year, mainly because of, as you say, the uptick, then also the improvement, I think, in consumer and enterprise optics of XR. I say it quite a lot, but I do think at the start of the year, there was maybe a bit of uncertainty and a bit of a patchy nature, perhaps, to the performance and perhaps to the impression that set things like the Metaverse and VR headsets, the promises and the marketing kind of, maybe muddied that water and muddied the optics a bit. But how I feel, however, now coming into 2024, we've got such a big renewed interest in things like the industrial Metaverse, MR headsets, thanks to companies like Microsoft and Apple, etc. I think we're going to see some of these really big general digital technology providers. We're going to see those companies enter the market now with experience and then also a strong product out there too. I do feel like we're going to sort of see some fail and some succeed, but I think now we're getting such big names in the XR space, again, for consumer and enterprise, such big names of like Amazon as well, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. There's just so many big names now involved in the XR space. I think 2024 is going to be transformative. And I think it's going to have the same effect that this year has had, but tenfold, which is seeing our standards of XR, whether it be people generally using VR headsets, but that changed to MR headsets this year. That changed. It went from the Metaverse to industrial Metaverse. It might go industrial Metaverse to spatial computing next year. We're going to see that evolution grow. We're not going to see a tipping point of full ubiquity, but the evolution is going to be, again, tenfold next year. I think that's very exciting just based on the developments this year. As mentioned, generative AI is another big part of that as well.
Right. Yeah, we've seen a lot going on with the headsets, especially with the Meta Quest 3. We've got Vario's XR4. We've had so many things happen also with the Apple Vision Pro, which we're set to see, coming into 2024, hopefully Q1. And yeah, so there's going to be a lot taking place in there. I think it's going to be a qualitative leap, a massive. So yeah, we're going to go over to Amy Peck. Thanks for joining us all the way from where are you, San Francisco today?
I'm actually in Santa Monica. I'm close to the beach, warm. I think everyone might be getting some chilly weather. So I'm not going to brag about that, but I'm pretty happy about it. And I did realize that I spent less than 100 days in my home. So, and I'm here for almost 3 full weeks. So that it is blissful, I have to say. So, this has been a really interesting year. I think there have been a lot of, kind of pivotal moments. And, I think as we've already heard, Apple Vision Pro announcement, I think, it's not the end all be all, but it's an important marker in the evolution of the technology and really bringing the hardware into the hands of consumers, because they largely don't care, now, but I think they're going to start to care more. I think, Meta's new device is phenomenal. And I think it's another step towards true, mixed reality and kind of the magic wayfarers. I see a lot happening with standards. It's not sexy, but we're starting to see, the big players start to get behind file formats and thinking about interoperability and actually, working together and all playing nicely in the sandbox. And that's a really, really important component. And I agree with Jay, although, on the metaverse not being dead, although if you look on my LinkedIn post of a couple of days ago, there's a very big slide that says the metaverse is dead, long live the metaverse, which was part of my talk at Web Summit. And it was, I sort of prefaced that by saying that, yes, it is dead in its initial iteration, but now we're starting to look through and what this digital landscape can really mean for us. And then riffing a little bit on what Sammy said, generative AI behind these virtual environments and this technology. And it's kind of why I think all of us have always been talking about the convergence of technology as opposed to these individual technologies. They are going to now combine and be fundamental in every business. And I'll say that digital twin is, in my mind, an anchor technology for every single business in the world today. And it's not like you have to build a level 5, fully functional, fully federated, online, always on digital twin. The level of compute and complexity of that is significant, but starting now, wherever you need to plug in and wherever you can find the most value, and then build out from there. And then, it is a build it once and deploy across multiple business units type of technology that allows you to have insights not only into your physical space, but then to model out how we're going to do business in the future. And the last thing I'll talk about, which I think is really important, is starting to change the way we think about IP. There's too much talk about ownership and mine, and it's not about that. And I love what Grimes did. She put her voice out there on the blockchain. She said, creators, go for it. Make great music. Don't be assholes. Sorry, I hate to swear, but I get inspired by Jay this early in the morning. I've had some caffeine, so I'm a little feisty. and it's just on a smart contract, and you split the royalties 50-50. And I said that at an event filled with Hollywood people and a lot of lawyers and agents in Hollywood a couple of months ago, and then the room fell silent. And I said, I know you're not going to like this. But instead of, kind of hoarding everything and having this, towards me motion, what happens if you have an expansive motion looking outward and releasing IP into the world and building an economic construct that allows everybody to participate, you as the base owner of that kind of, IP and the originator of the IP that everyone's kind of building on. There is, frankly, it's like a multi-level marketing scheme, but there is an opportunity to build a new kind of economic construct around IP and creativity where you're inspiring others and inviting people in as opposed to keeping people out, because the digital age isn't going to really allow for that. And in fact, it's going to make it easier than ever to steal content.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the landscape of intellectual property, especially like legal ramifications for using things like AI, using things like creative and generative AI. It's just going to prompt an entire new industry to interact with XR. I think we're going to see a lot of that. Thanks so much for sharing that. So yeah, we're going to jump over to Letitia Bochud. What would you say, coming from XR for Europe, and from your experience working with the immersive world, what would you say was some of the biggest, highlights for 2023?
Thank you first for having me. I haven't seen these folks since Athens, and I'm so thrilled. And I hope we see each other again next year. So for me here in Europe, in general, there was one big month. It was July 23, because the European Commission actually voted and started working on the virtual worlds and Web 4.0 initiative. And that has been huge because we're going to be part of it. We've been, in discussion for public policy making. And this is really something that will not only help people understand the technology, democratize the technology, but also help with the interoperability of it. And that's really a big thrill here, especially because we're so fragmented, as you know, in legal systems, etc. And then there is also this business model that I really like, that is the location-based entertainment experiences that I've seen making profits for the first, perhaps, or the second year in a row. And that is really becoming something that we see grow in Europe. I've been in Seoul 3 weeks and I've seen the same there. And I have the impression it's the same across the pond on the American side. In Seoul, I wanted to bounce back on what you said, Amy. The IP really amazed me, how much into IP they are and how little we know about this here. First, we don't have not only the legal framework, but also we don't have the knowledgeable people to tackle these challenges. You have very few law firms that are actually able to, well, when we try, when we deposit a project or we submit an ID, you need to find these niche lawyers to help you out. So it's something that will be expanding, and I wish that blockchain could help toward what you were saying, Amy. And then I've also noticed that not only XR is merging toward MR, obviously in every context, and mainly in Industry 5.0, but also it's been hugely and widely a healthcare year, like XR for medical purpose year. And I think also that one of the challenges of next year is to have as many countries adopting headsets as medical device. And that will be really something that could help us not only with reimbursement from insurances, but also with making it global and impacting those who cannot normally get the training or the care they need. And also the recovery, perhaps, or help they need. So yes, that was for me. I think also that it's been very helpful, the MR and XR in general, with the cadastre. We see that a lot with architecture. And personally, I'm super psyched about Lynx and Vario new headsets coming up. Those are the European hardware headsets. So I try to, I put a little bit of European, into this. And I know here in Switzerland, there are a lot of research projects on optics. So everything computer vision. And I was also told, because the computer graphics in international, that conference will happen next July in Geneva. I've heard from one of the chairs of that conference that actually China is super thriving because most of the research papers, so peer-to-peer reviewed papers, come from China, around 60%, and that China has the most universities per capita in the world. So this is also something to, when thinking Pico for, there is a lot to think about. And on my side, I've been super, super ecstatic over my 3-week stay in Seoul, in South Korea. I've visited the virtual production stage, one of the biggest in the world. And this is also mind-blowing what it can change and do in the communication marketing area. So that's for me. Sorry, it was a bit long.
No, you mentioned also Seoul. That used to be my old stomping ground when I used to live there. I think I was there for about nearly 4 years. I saw a lot of the stuff that was coming out of the Samsung Experience Center. That was based in Gangnam, if I'm not mistaken. So, just to imagine what they're going to be able to create when they release, the Samsung VR headset. I think that's going to be phenomenal as well.
Apparently, they're not on it.
They're not? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. We'll have to.
Should they? For me, LG and or Samsung, they should get into the competition. But apparently, perhaps their NDA is very, very strong. But do you have insights there? Do you have because we've been there, we've talked to engineers.
But Samsung is rumored to be working with HoloLens, and they were at one point talking about bringing a consumer version of HoloLens too.
Yeah.
Out.
And that's what I would expect, but
Cool. Now, certainly last but not least, we have Satyamrut. I need to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. Now, for you, what would you say would be the highlight of 2023 for you, based on your research?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Damon, for your enough enthusiasm to make us in one team and discussing all these things. I am for the first time here, so maybe I'll just tell the story from India side. It is a little bit different here. In India, and I have worked on different projects. So two things I have realized, like apart from the whole world, what metaverse is going on. Uh, in terms of Indian market, two things like which have worked, which one is spirituality, and the training and education sector in India is huge. People come for spiritual revisit here, and a lot of it's a young country, a lot of young people, so there are a lot of talents there are a lot of opportunity in the education sector. I mean, people, schools and colleges, there are a lot of other projects, but in these two sectors, what I have seen in last year, they have worked the best. The use cases of the metaverse, what I can say, earlier we had many use cases in when metaverse started. I mean, it was always there, but when the hype came and a lot of people started to develop projects, but now we are slowly fine tuning to a particular use cases which is working well. Like Rory said, like metaverse is going to be industrial metaverse, digital twins they're going to move to, and also in entertainment, like Sammy said, like it is more of entertainment. It's we are moving towards the best use cases over the time. So in India, what I found, two use cases. One is spirituality, because people go to a lot of temples here. A lot of people, if you see India, if you come to India, you are all welcome to India. There are a lot of people is going to temples. If you see the videos, you'll be amazed how people go. And we have built like I have led a project of building a metaverse for an organization called Art of Living, which is there in 180 countries. And so there are a lot of people from everywhere. They wanted to come and to be in one place, so we had done metaverse project for them. And it was really phenomenal, because people cannot come from all of the world to a place too, but they want to have that scenic and beauty and the ambience of how the spiritual India will look like. So we had done a project for them and it worked well. So I mean to say, all the temples and metaverse, it can be like it is one of the biggest use case. One of the second one is education sector, where people want to get trained in colleges and schools. What I have realized, I have gone to different colleges also to give training on these topics on the VR and AR and metaverse, and they have really quite felt the need of metaverse in this space, education space, the training space. And in these two sectors, in terms of projects, in terms of metaverse, these are the two big fields in India, which has a because India is a great market, and people are young and smart, and they want to really do big things. And even the one of the best moment in my life, we went to a remote village, where it's a northern part of India, where there are no much into much scope of internet. We took our Quest headset, we went on a trekking, and we made them wear this headset, and we made them realize this little little girls were enjoying. Oh, I will fall from this hill by here. So that was one of the best, by showing them something they didn't imagine even in their city or in their village. That was one of the best moment for us. And in terms of projects, I did this project. I found these are the two top projects, like which India has a lot of potential to do it. And apart from industrial metaverse, it has a time, it is slowly catching, it has to, it is taking time to realize, to make the use of the digital twinning in India. It will take time, I think. It will still, because what in my vision, what I feel, when mobile and VR device is a competitor, when we have, like, maybe it will take time, when we have this VR headset like my specs, and it is very easy, it is very cheap, I think then maybe more people will use metaverse seamlessly. Yeah, because right now we have a lot of devices. In terms of device development, it is being developed, and the time will come when it is as easy as mobile, or as more dependent on, less dependent on mobile rather than our VR headset. I think that space, that time or VR, all these projects, whatever we have the vision, it will take a leap.
Brilliant. Thanks so much for sharing that. And yeah, looking at some of the reports from the Indian XR industry, we found that the Geo Glass has been a major success, and I think that they're going to use that as kind of a pilot for what they can do as far as developing an ecosystem within the Indian subcontinent. So thanks so much for sharing that. I'm going to show you actually a quick thing here. I guess my number one thing for 2023. So this is in the Charlotte Observer today. So whoever reads that, we found that we have some good news about Meta. Finally, for the first time in quite a bit of time, since the whole Metaverse, debacle started last year, where there was a lot of ups and downs, both in, XR as well as Web3, and, a lot of decentralized finance and things of that nature. So finally, we're actually seeing an environment as far as press is concerned, where XR solutions are finally being hailed and lauded for the hard work that they're doing. So it's about turning that narrative around and getting people to understand the value of XR and using kind of the transformation that we had in 2022, that big challenge to actually come back even stronger in 2023. So what I think a lot of the industry did is they focused more towards the pragmatic. And I think that, by exercising and highlighting those different pragmatic use cases, we created kind of like a boiling frog, vantage point for the XR industry. And that allowed us to showcase the best bits from each different, headset manufacturer. Kevin and Jay, you were, heavily involved in the industrial metaverse, which has pretty much transformed the way people are talking about the XR industry, because now we see the real return on investment. So by highlighting that, and then of course, with Meta was always kind of the litmus test, since they were the first to emerge and talk about, creating these XR solutions, which would ultimately lead to the Metaverse 10 years down the road. But due to a lot of the kind of negative press that we saw, a lot of the misconstrued, context that was placed in it, I think that we were able to actually kind of pull that back. And through all of our collective efforts, we're able to kind of show exactly how to conceptualize the metaverse, how to conceptualize XR, I like the use cases. And finally, when these new headsets started to emerge, we saw that people were actually, wow, this is exciting stuff. How do I get involved? Where do I go pick up my Quest 3? When can I play with the Apple Vision Pro? And things of that nature. So we're going to see a lot more of that, I feel, in 2024, where people can actually start to really incorporate XR into their everyday lives, the same way the smartphone emerged. Oh, smartphone, how are we going to use that? Can't I just use my computer? And now we see everyone has got a smartphone on their watch, they've got a smartphone in their pocket, and I'm speaking to you on a smartphone right now. So, there's a lot of things we'll see there. But yeah, that is my take on it. And I just wanted to say to everyone once again, as far as the future, I will still be very, very much involved in the XR industry. I'm getting some things together, and I will definitely see you guys at some of the new events taking place hopefully in 2024. And like I said, this is one of my passions. If I used XR today as kind of a vehicle for kind of giving those passions and expressing them, using them, whether or not in writing or in video. So that will continue. I can definitely tell you.
Well, I was going to say, I know Amy and myself and maybe a few others, we're going to be at CES after Christmas. We have the Jaro, Pico, Samsung, you name it, Sony. They're all announcing things. Siemens are doing the opening keynote on redefining reality.
Oh, wow.
So let's see how 2024 kicks off with all the new headsets and all the things. And I still think we have a long way to go, but 2024, as many of you said, I think it's going to be an interesting year.
I think that's very well said, Kevin. I think CES is one to keep half an eye on, I think, next month. Mm-hmm.
And South by? Who is going to South by? Perhaps Sammy?
I think so. That's the plan. Yes.
Yay! You! Okay. Trying to meet the ladies there. All right.
Okay. Well, let me know. Go every year.
Wonderful, everyone. Thanks so much. Once again, my name is Cureton, Senior Journalist XR today. We've had on Kevin O'Donovan, Jay Latta, Amy Peck, Samantha Tauber, Letitia Bochud, Satyamrut, Uttarkabat. I got it. There you go. And Rory
Yeah,
Greer.
yeah.
It's been a pleasure. And everyone have a lovely, happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate, even if it's just lounging around watching TV with the family. Have a wonderful time and see you around soon. Bye now.